We got Chase Sherman back here on the program. He's going to be taking on Justin Willis at UFC Fight Night 128 on April 21st. Chase, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, man? I haven't heard from you in a while. I was beginning to think you didn't like me anymore.
Oh man, you're tough to get a hold of sometimes. You should see this guy. You know, I was interviewing him in Titan FC, and then I try and get him in the UFC. It's difficult to get an interview these days. But no, I'm kidding. It's been a while since we've seen you in the cage, man. You haven't fought since November. What's sort of been the reason for the layoff? Has it just been difficult getting fights?
Man, I don't know. I guess because I stayed so busy last year, they kind of had to fit in a few other heavyweights. You know what I mean? I fought five times in 15 months, and so I guess they were giving some other guys some opportunities. They actually asked me to fight Tuvasa right after I got done with that fight in November, and they asked me to fight in February, and I was just like, man, I just kind of want to enjoy, Christmas and the holidays with my family. I've been on the road, and I just flew to China, and I would have to fly back to Australia, and obviously I lost that fight, so I was trying to get back in the gym and work on a few different things instead of going right back into the training camp. Just learn a few different things before I rushed into another tough fight. So, but then after February and stuff, I was like, I want to fight, and then just nothing came up. So, and then last minute they were like, hey, this is what we got, take it or leave it. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I mentioned this. I talked to Justin as well. You guys are both managed by the same group, so I think it was one of those things where I know he was looking for a fight and you were looking for a fight, so it kind of just worked out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's good that you got the matchup there. You referenced the fight at UFC Fight Night 122. You're coming off that loss. What did you sort of take away the most from that performance?
Yeah, man. I know we both kind of said it was a loss, but I don't see it as a loss, man. It's just a lesson learned, A loss, you really can't gain anything from a loss. So you got in there, and I didn't get the win, obviously, but I wouldn't consider it a loss, It's just a lesson learned, and I worked on a few things that I needed to work on, and coming back with some more tools in the bag, and a few different tricks, and hopefully be a little bit more fundamentally sound and have a better fight IQ. That guy was just a tough guy, man. Very smart. He's been fighting all his life. He's fucking from Dagestan, so those guys come out the womb fighting, But, it is what it is, So now it's time to put that behind us and move forward and get ready to get another W and get back on a winning streak.
And by the way, where are you right now? I know you're in the truck. Where are you heading to?
Right now I'm heading to Mobile. It's about an hour away. I go there 3 times a week for my strength and conditioning over at D1 Gyms. It's a really good sports performance center. They work with a lot of NFL guys and combine guys, and so I got that connection, and I've been over there with Rich Myers and Chris McNair, and we've been doing some work, putting some work in, and trying to really get back up to where I was when I was playing ball in college as far as strength goes, And I've seen a lot of these heavyweights that are coming out, and they're big guys, and unfortunately I walk around like 250, so I'm not the biggest heavyweight there is, so I figured it was time to get back to that, build some strength up, get back to that raw power that I used to have when I was playing ball.
Obviously, you're home right now. Are you going to Jackson's for this camp, or are you going to stay at home for this one?
Man, we got the call on kind of like short notice, like 4 weeks notice, and I was in the middle of moving into a new home when they called, and I called Coach Wink and was like, hey, I got a fight. What heavyweights do you have out there, big bodies? And wasn't really anybody out there at the time, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stay home and bring some guys in and kind of work here and keep on the same track that I've been going, because I haven't stopped training, man. As soon as I got done with that fight in November, my ass was back in the gym and trying to get better. So I just kind of stuck to that plan and kind of up the training a little bit to 2-3 times a day, just like normal camp.
Yeah, and who are some of the people you're working with back home that are helping you get ready for this fight?
You know, I train with my normal coaches, Allen and Sharp, and those guys. But then like I said, I'm going to this strength and conditioning gym, the sports performance gym, and then started working with a traditional boxing coach here at home, and just really working on picking up the fundamentals of striking, like really trying to figure out and know the game instead of just going in there and getting away with being an athlete. You know what I mean? And then my jiu-jitsu coach is from Pennsylvania, and he knows a couple guys that wrestled at Penn State, so he brought in a heavyweight wrestler. So we've been working a lot on my wrestling and grappling. That's been another thing that's I've been really diligent at since my last fight, was just kind of becoming more predominant with my grappling. So yeah, man, we're just trying to get better and add new tools to the toolbox.
And how do you feel like you match up against Justin now that you've had a chance to sort of assess him as an opponent?
Justin's a good opponent, man. He's good. He's southpaw. He's deceivingly athletic for how he looks. He's a former college athlete as well. You know, when you watch him fight, it's not like he astounds you with one certain thing. You know, he's like good in every area. You know, he's like a 7 in every area, I would say. You know what I mean? But he doesn't have a lot of holes in his game. He's very fundamentally sound. But with that being said, I feel like the one thing that we can pick apart is that he's pretty fucking arrogant and full of himself. And I think he thinks he's just gonna fucking walk in there and run right through me. But that shit ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's sitting in there. You know, we signed the fight contract, and I'm respectful to all my opponents. It's cool, you know. And if you want to talk a little trash, that's cool too. No harm, no foul. You're gonna tag me and tell me that you're my worst nightmare, and that you apologize for what you have to do to me. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. You wake up and take a piss just like I do, and you know, brush your teeth. You're a fucking man. I said, you know. So I don't fear you. You know what I mean? And you tell me you're sorry for what you have to do to me. You ain't gonna do shit but stand there and bleed, you know. So fuck that. You know, I ain't, you know what I mean. Like, I'm not no chump. You fought 2 bums when you came into the UFC. I beat 2-0 too, you know. So he can tell himself whatever he needs to tell himself, you know. But he better be ready to fucking fight, because I show up every time to bang.
How do you see this fight playing out on April 21st?
Man, I think you know, Ledet. I mean, not Ledet. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. That's my first fight. But Willis, you know, he's got the wrestling background, man. But I think he fancies himself as a striker because he wants to, you know, prove that he can do both. I think he's gonna come out there and try to strike with me and throw that 2-3 that he counters with every time and kind of walks you down, lulls you into that pace. And then I figure when he starts realizing he can't stand with me on the feet, he's going to go to that overhand left and go shoot for that double. Or, you know, that he's going to look for that overhand. And you know, shit, that would be the game plan too if I was fighting myself, you know. I watch my other fights, you know what I'm saying? And that's the only punch that I keep getting fucking caught with is overhands. And so what have we been working on? The whole camp, you know what I mean? Not just the whole camp, but since that last fight that I lost, you know, is having a good defense against that. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, I don't care how this fight goes, man. I'm out there to put hands on this dude. And it's gonna a fight's a fight, and I'm not worried about the outcome. You know what I mean? I'm coming out there to put on a fucking show. So, you know, we'll let the cards fall where they fall. He's talking about how he's here to evolutionize the game and he's the lead of the league. Well, that's great, man. If you're the lead of the league, you ain't got to convince people that. You just show up and do it, but you're trying to talk yourself up like you're something special. You know what I mean? Like, so we'll see, though. We'll see.
And before I let you go here, what's the latest with you and Colby Covington? I know you guys went back and forth on Twitter. Is that settled, or do you still have animosity towards him? What's the latest on that?
I haven't heard anything from him, man. He's getting ready for a title fight, so I don't think he's too worried about me. You know what I mean? But I know he's going to be sitting behind a computer screen somewhere waiting for my downfall on April 21st, and I can't give him the pleasure of letting that happen. You know what I mean? So we'll, you know, let him do his thing. He's got a big fight coming up with RDA. That's gonna be a tough one, man. You better be ready.
How did that whole thing start for those who didn't see it? Because wasn't it something you commented on or he did? I can't remember, but it started on Twitter. I know that.
Yeah, so I posted a video, like a little wrestling video, and it was like really, really bad, like choreographed wrestling, you know what I mean? And it said grown men watch this, and then it went viral because all like I didn't realize there was such a big WWE and wrestling following, and it went viral. And I guess Colby is a fan of that, and he retweeted it and said, "Oh, look, Chase Sherman woke up from getting knocked out again," and then it kind of just went from there. So, but yeah, nothing's happened since. You know, he's got his big fight coming up, and I'm not really worried about him. He's a piece of shit. So.
Okay, fair enough. Well, everyone's got to check out this fight. It's coming up here April 21st. It's UFC Fight Night 128. Chase, I always appreciate you taking the time, man. I appreciate it. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you got any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you can find me on social media on all my accounts. Chase Vanilla Gorilla Sherman's on my Facebook, and then you just do Chase Sherman UFC on my Instagram. And if you ain't following me on Twitter, then you probably don't have one. But it's also Chase Sherman UFC. And then all my sponsors, man, you know, Fit Warrior brand, you can go check out their Instagram page and their website. They just came out with a whole new line of Vanilla Gorilla apparel. You get all your shirts there, hats, whatever you want with our logo, with my logo on it. D1 Gyms in Mobile, they've sponsored this whole camp and kind of helped me out with all my strength and conditioning. Fit Meals over here in Mobile, Alabama, they've been doing all my meal prep. Daniel Sullivan, he is a nutritionist out in Dallas, man. He's amazing. He's been helping me with my nutrition. Neil Life Physical Therapy and Robbie Ellis, those guys have all been helping me with my physical therapy, keeping me right. And then Big Play is the main center. It's like a family fun center down here in Biloxi. They do all the viewing parties and everything for the fight. So just a lot of local businesses, you know, that are trying to help out local fighters as far as sponsorships go. Really couldn't do it without those guys. But I appreciate you having me, James, man. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.